Y ahora, niños, después de la escuela, a bailar. Pero el tucanazo, ¡órale! Con este ritmo se mueven todos. Este es el baile del tucanazo. Con este ritmo.
Alright, welcome everyone to the next episode of James's book club. I almost said film theory. I would love to do a collab, but you know what? We're here today, as I discussed in my last video. I planned on going to the California Wastes Island to try to find the other book of LaCroix, and I found it. Turns out it's a biohazard because it's trash. And unfortunately, I'm not the trash man, so... There we go. There you go. Don't get too close to your screens, folks. It's toxic enough it can go through the radio waves. Just trust me, alright? This is how Chernobyl happened. They read a copy of this book and just imploded. So we're gonna... Alright. I will now proceed to touch and hold the book. But yeah, so this is a sequel to the book, or I don't know if this is a sequel or a prequel. I don't know, we'll figure it out. It relates to the LaCroix book because it has LaCroix, and that's what we're going with. So, I suppose we'll just read it. This is a testament of Matt Morris. I don't know who this Matthew is, but seems like a stupid person. Anyway, we begin with Les Introductions. Oh, okay, sorry, I forgot for a second. So this book is called The Doctrines of LaCroix. But then in the introduction, it goes over the doctrine and covenants of LaCroix. The covenants are never mentioned, either in the title nor anywhere else. There are no covenants. So this is just wasted space and air, just like whoever wrote this book. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So the introduction starts off with... introduces what this book is about. It says, given for the establishment and regulation of the kingdom of LaCroix on the earth in the last days. Now, why not in the first days? You want an impenetrable kingdom. You start building it the first day possible. So why not, begin whenever you started and not just in the last days, alright? The last days of the Roman Empire were not the Roman Empire's best and brightest. The last day at Pearl Harbor was not Pearl Harbor's best and brightest, alright? So start in the first days, start when it's fresh and shiny and new, not just in the last days when some other country blew it up, like that. It talks about most of these revelations in this compilation were received through Joy, who, as we discussed in my last video, is the son of an incest love triangle. He is the first judge of the new kingdom of LaCroix, and this is because... Hold up. Yeah, this is because no one else was stupid enough to take over a crumbling nation, so they put a person with at least 16 chromosomes in charge of it. We move on to declaration number 1. So it begins, the northern kingdom of Coca-Cola is not an enemy of the kingdom of LaCroix, though we know those who consume in the beverage of the land will be crushed by LaCroix. And then it later gets into, if you do drink Coca-Cola, that's fine, as long as you also drink some amount of LaCroix. So it's kind of like if you do a little bit or a lot bit of sin, but then you at least you help a nice lady across the street, but then you go murder your family because you took the nice lady across the street. The murdering of your family and relatives is perfectly fine, as told by the Doctrines of LaCroix. I must continue. Alright, so it then goes, it clarifies what it just spoke of. Both of these, Coca-Cola and LaCroix being these, can be enjoyed by the same person, however, one must drink more LaCroix than Coca-Cola in order to appease the wrath of LaCroix. So again, as I said, as long as you just do a little bit more kindness than the bad things you've done, you'll be perfectly fine. So ladies and gentlemen, break all the laws you want, but as long as you pick up litter from someone else, then your treasonous actions by overthrowing the American government and starting a brand new dictatorship under the banner of Nerf Incorporated, it's Nerf or nothing, then you're perfectly fine. Why do I keep closing this book? This is obnoxious. Anyway. Alright, on to Declaration 2. They write about the official genealogy. Now, this is directly in response to my last book, so I have no idea how this was written. I have no idea. This is insane. But it goes over the genealogy of the family, and it says that it's Troy, Boy, Roy, and Joy, which, as we discussed in my last review, is not actually correct because there is no incest related in here now. What's really important is the author continues. It is also important to point out that while I, Joy, am the son of Roy, I am also the son of Boy, my grandfather. This is a possibility only fathered by LaCroix. Now, no, this is not. This is, in fact, actually a very interesting genealogy because it relates directly to Alabama, all right? So Alabama is the best at doing incest, and Alabama also has the worst education system, which is why LaCroix can't explain it. Because he's the son of an incest love triangle in the state with the worst education system, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He probably spoke into a microphone sort of, kind of, roughly, and it guessed. That's why all the words in here don't make any sense and why all their names sound the same, because he's just mumbling into the microphone and he's fine. This is what he thinks is a book. On to Declaration 3. So Declaration 3, I've given it a very nice title to kind of spruce it up. It's Please like me, woo. I need to be bought or I lose stock value. That's what the title of this declaration is. The declaration part of it reads, one must in fact acknowledge that LaCroix has flavor, and anyone who denies this fact has not received the spiritual blessings of LaCroix. Again, this is just trying to get people to buy the product so that the company does not go out of business and the nation would therefore become defunct. However, it says it must have a flavor, except no flavor is technically a flavor. So therefore, LaCroix can have no flavor, and it does indeed have no flavor. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Hold your applause to the end. I'll be here all night. On to Declaration 4. This begins with the required IQ to enjoy LaCroix is 300. You'll notice there that there's actually a typo. They said enjoy instead of dislike. Alright, this is very, very important to continue reading this book. This is important because I watched the show Richard and Mortimer. You guys might have heard of it. Some plebeians call it Rick and Morty. No, it's Richard and Mortimer. You can't mix that up. And therefore, I do have an IQ high enough to understand why LaCroix sucks and why you should not drink LaCroix. Now, he continues to write, while many who drink LaCroix and enjoy it may not naturally have IQs at this moment, which therefore means that those who drink LaCroix are literal rocks. Rocks most likely have a higher IQ than those who drink LaCroix because rocks most likely have some sort of organic living thing in or on it. And therefore, it is better to eat rocks than to drink LaCroix. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But I must continue. The grace of LaCroix will grant them a high enough IQ while they drink it, so they must enjoy it. So therefore, he actually detracts IQ, right? They watched Richard and Mortimer before. They read the entire Star Wars comics, they knew it by heart. But all of a sudden, they drank this nasty bottle that they found sitting on their bedside table. They thought it was going to be a delicious drink because it was colored like Coca-Cola, and it said it had citrus flavoring and all natural, just like grass. Then they drink it, and all of a sudden they feel their brain shrivel up. Their brain becomes smooth like a pebble, and they lose all their IQ so that they might be able to enjoy the LaCroix. On to Declaration 5. Declaration 5 reads, the more someone who has received the blessing of LaCroix drinks it, the more they will love it. This is actually a textbook case of Stockholm Syndrome. This can also be seen in Beauty and the Beast and also the American government under the Republicans in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. You just become so used to your captor that you just kind of let them continue doing what they're doing, just like the Republicans did in the Progressive era. They continued, the more someone who has not received blessing drinks it, the more they will hate it and set forth the reason for their own destruction. Again, how can I enjoy it without knowing if it's good or not, and therefore, if I don't think it's good, I don't drink it, and therefore, I can't be saved. This book basically says it is impossible to reach the spiritual nirvana that LaCroix promises, and therefore don't bother drinking LaCroix. Enjoy the Coca-Cola while it lasts. Now, what's interesting is it later continues and it says, I must also make it known that the greatest of the flavors that LaCroix manifests itself on the earth is Cerise Lemon. Now, according to smooch.com, Cerise Lemon is actually the second worst flavor of LaCroix, and I trust smooch.com, focused on babes, beauty, and body hacks, I think is what it's called. But yeah, so don't drink Cerise Lemon, according to smooch.com. Likewise, it talks, in the last book, it said that Cerise Lemon was the first one to come out of heaven to bless the people with its greatness. Now, whenever you eat or drink something, you always get rid of the worst one first. So therefore, God got rid of the Cerise Lemon because it was so bad. It was kind of like drinking sewer water from underneath Chicago. And therefore, he wanted to get rid of it, so he chucked it out of heaven. And this guy, Joy, he was like, yo, this stuff hits like a mushroom on top of cocaine. And therefore, I'm going to write a religion about it. So therefore, Joy got high off of LaCroix and made a fake religion about it. We move on to Declaration 6. Declaration 6 is short, and so I will read it in its entirety. LaCroix is, and forever will be, pronounced as LaCroix. Anyone who pronounces as LaCroix or LaCroix will be accused, or cursed by LaCroix, even worse. Now, many of you probably know Seth Rogen. He's verified on Twitter, which therefore means he's a reliable source. And he has stated in a tweet that it is pronounced LaCroix because it is French, and therefore pronouncing it LaCroix is cultural appropriation, and he should therefore be burned at the stake according to, I'm sure, like the Geneva Convention, the Bill of Rights, or the Texas Manifesto, something like that. He should be burned at the stake. You can take my word for it. Feel free to go out and do it in my name. You have my permission. And that's the last of the decorations. It now closes. It says, LaCroix is a gift to mankind. If it was not for LaCroix, our people would have not survived this long. LaCroix was created in 1981, and therefore, we survived for a for a very long time before LaCroix came into our life. Alright, we survived the Austro-Hungarian War, World War I, World War II, the potato famine, Morgan marrying not me. We survived for so long before LaCroix. So therefore, we don't need LaCroix to survive any longer. Lastly, it says, I, Joy, by the authority gifted to me by LaCroix, officially declare this book of doctrines as official document, as the official document of the people of LaCroix and what they are to know about LaCroix. Of course, this is only as long as they don't ask any questions, otherwise they get taken to a farm upstate where they spend their retirement until someone else questions their authority and goes to join them. And that's the end of the Doctrines of LaCroix. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it as high as the crime rate in Chicago. So yeah, that's the book. I've seen garbage fires better smelling and tasting than this book, so I apologize for wasting however long this ended up being. Please go do anything else to cleanse your palate, you know. Eat a dead raccoon, you know, snort some glass through a straw. Do something to just cleanse your palate from what this book was. Thanks, and have a nice day. Alright, there we go.
Snort some glass.
Yeah.